Welcome to the Institute of Archaeologists of Ireland and Heritage Week 2020. The IAI represents in excess of 350 archaeologists on the island of Ireland. The aim of the IAI is to advance and strengthen the profession of archaeology in Ireland, and this is achieved with funding from the Heritage Council and the Department of Culture, Heritage and the Gaeltacht. Our vision is that we have a vibrant and sustainable archaeological profession that actively contributes to the protection of our archaeological heritage. The Institute is run by a board of 12 elected volunteer members. All are active professional archaeologists whose daily working lives reflect many of the skills and specialisms that archaeologists utilise in order to identify, understand, promote and protect our archaeological and built heritage. This short video will hopefully give you some idea of the scope of experience and expertise of the present board members and show you how connected they are with the day-to-day work of archaeology in Ireland.
I'm an archaeologist and specifically a field archaeologist. I've spent 21 years working in commercial archaeology in Ireland and I have held a licence to excavate sites for the previous 13 years. What that means essentially is that I'm responsible for directing excavations. I'm licensed by National Monuments section of our government. Essentially the work is very varied. I've worked in some amazing places over the years. I've lived and worked in every county. An example of some of the places I've worked in Mountjoy Prison on an archaeological project. I've worked in a lot of the commercial developments in Dublin City. I've worked on virtually all of the major road projects throughout the country. Recently, I've been lucky enough to work on an area of the city of Dublin known as the South Lots. The work has been on several different sites and it is very interesting to see how this particular part of the city was reclaimed in the mid to late 17th century from the Liffey. Originally it was part of the tidal estuary of the Liffey, and the line of the quays today is not the original line of the river, of course. So if you look at a map of Dublin City and you see Townsend Street, everything north of Townsend Street between Townsend Street and the current quays has been reclaimed. So for the Townsend Street site, you'll be able to see the reclamation timbers, and they probably date to about 1680 or so. So they were imported, deposited on the tidal estuary and built up in such a fashion that they could hold soil in behind and so reclaim the land. You can see examples of the Bartman jugs from the 17th century. They are part of the reclamation material. So the material was brought from all around the city and dumped to fill the area that then became dry land. And you can see evidence of this again on the Lime Street site where the wall is.
In my day job, I work as an Osteo-Archaeologist with IAI Archaeology, a commercial consultancy. As part of this role, I advise, investigate and record any human skeletal remains that are identified during the course of archaeological works. This involves consultation with site directors, National Monuments Service and the National Museum of Ireland to devise a suitable methodology for preservation in situ or excavation of the remains. I've had the opportunity to work on a wide variety of burials spanning some 6,000 years with IAC. These include prehistoric cremations in urns or pits, inhumations in kiss burials, Iron Age deviant burials, early medieval familial burial grounds, medieval urban cemeteries and post-medieval graves. We can gain a lot of information about the people of the past by examining their bones, such as their age, their sex, their health status and their occupation. As an osteoarchaeologist, I also advise on the potential for further analyses such as radiocarbon dating, stable isotopes and DNA, and all of these form part of our wider picture of our understanding of the past. One of the most recent excavations I worked on with site director Murray Callicon involved the block lifting excavation of numerous urn burials with Susanna Kelly, conservator, and this strategy was agreed with the National Monuments and National Museum as the best way to retrieve and record these remains. The analysis of the human remains contained within these funerary vessels will certainly provide further insight into the Bronze Age population of this area and their funerary customs.
As an excavation site director, my main job is to make sure that all archaeological features and artefacts are recorded and excavated to the highest standards following best practice. This is called preservation by record, and this allows future researchers to analyse our data in the future and to better interpret how our ancestors lived and died in the past. I've excavated a variety of sites since I became licence eligible in 2017, from prehistoric periods up to the medieval periods. And because of these excavations, we now know that wildcats roamed the hills of Abbottstown in County Dublin, and we know that some Vikings were trading with and meeting with people in Naas, County Kildare. So it's very exciting when you get the results after your excavations. My team and I just now completed a large, very important site here in County Wicklow, and we uncovered a large Bronze Age landscape that was previously unknown. And while we found some habitation evidence, it was mainly a variety of burial practices that we identified in sight. And this ranged from burial structures such as ring barrows, we had a flat cemetery, we had cremations, we had deposit cremations, and then excitingly we had multiple intact funerary urns, highly decorated urns with human cremations deposited within the urns. So another part of my role as site director is to coordinate with the National Monument Service and the National Museum of Ireland and any relevant specialists when we find important artefacts or features on site. So in this case, the National Monument Service, the National Museum of Ireland, our conservation specialist Susanna Kelly and our human remains specialist Maeve Tobin, we all came together and we came up with a strategy to best preserve by record the burial ritual of putting the urn into the burial pit, and then how best to excavate and record the cremation within the urn and then the urns themselves. So it was a very exciting period on the site for everyone. You don't normally get to see these really beautiful, highly decorated, intact urns on site, so I think we all enjoyed that. We're now in the post-excavation stage for that site, so I'm trying to amalgamate all the written records, the photographic records, the drawn record of our site data and amalgamate that with the specialist reports. So all the charcoal we found on site, plant remains, animal bone, the human bone, and all the artefacts, ceramics, we had metal, we had stone artefacts, and then carbon-14 dates when we get to that stage. So we amalgamate all this together and then we produce a final report, and hopefully researchers in the future can incorporate our data into the overall picture of Irish Bronze Age burial practices.
I did my undergraduate degree in IAI Galway and later went back to do the Masters in Landscape Archaeology there. I returned to my studies from 2012 and 16 to do my PhD research with a dissertation entitled Negotiating the Landscape, Prehistoric and Early Medieval Movement in a Landscape of Esker and Bog. And that focused on the emergence of routeways through natural features in the landscape. During my research, I was lucky enough to be able to attend conferences and engage in research projects throughout Europe. I've worked on and off on commercial and research excavations and surveys since 2004, and I was lucky enough during that time to work on some amazing sites and learn from some of the best archaeologists in Ireland. Since 2017, I've worked for IAI Heritage consultancy, and most of my work these days focuses on pre-planning reports and impact assessment. So it's a good mix for me of fieldwork and desk-based research. But I still do occasionally pick up a trowel or mattock out a ditch if I need a warm body on site. I was co-opted onto the board of the IAI in October 2019. And on my time in the board, I've tried to ensure that we engage in public consultations and reviews, in addition to the normal obligations of the Honorary Secretary.
I am the convener of the Institute's journal, the Journal of Irish Archaeology. My main role is to assist the editor and the editorial board by arranging meetings and keeping them up to date about the journal's production, sponsorship and distribution. I also maintain the journal's webpage and manage our members' access to the journal both in print and online. As convener, I have assisted in the production of 6 volumes of the journal, with volume 29 coming in November 2020. My day job is as an archaeologist with Transport Infrastructure Ireland, or TII. Much of this has involved communicating the results of archaeological fieldwork and research from national road and public transport projects to fellow professionals and to the public. These outputs have ranged from the popular archaeology magazine Shanda which was distributed nationwide to every secondary school and public library, to more detailed books about the archaeology discovered on national road schemes. TII have published almost 30 such books to date. Our publications also include seminar papers from public seminars that we run and I have helped organise. These days, publication is an important and routine part of an archaeologist's job, no matter what sector you're in, and I work on the editorial and production side for TII. This can range from writing, to detailed cross-checking of text, to gathering images, and to dealing with authors, copy editors, designers and printers. Another aspect of my work is maintaining TII's archaeology web pages and YouTube channel. Much of bringing archaeological discoveries to wider attention is now a web-based pursuit, and we are continually adapting. For example, we're currently in the process of releasing new resources such as story maps and videos about the latest excavation results. All in all, it makes for a varied and interesting job.
I work as an independent archaeological consultant based in the Midlands of Ireland, and over the last 23 years I've carried out a series of archaeological assessments and archaeological excavations for the construction, agriculture and forestry sector. In the last number of years I've become increasingly involved with local communities in the Midlands, helping them to do research and to promote the archaeological heritage in their area. I'm also quite keen in terms of video production and working with artists on how we represent the heritage to the wider public. Like many members of the Institute, I'm also a member of my county heritage forum, in my case, County Laois. If you'd like to find out more or come along to some of our training events, you can find out full details on our website www.iai.ie or on our social media platforms.